Welcome to Bleacher Report's NFL Daily. I'm Mitch, here once again for another NFL Daily. Super Bowl 59, it's almost here. We know who's going to be playing in the game. The Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Will they be able to fly past the back-to-back champs? Or will the Chiefs three-peat? In this live, I'm going to tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl MVP, and how they are going to do it. That's right. In this video, it's the keys to victory for the Chiefs and the Eagles. And the way that I look at keys to victory, it's the game plan for each team. What do they need to do? What do they need to achieve on Super Sunday to hold that Lombardi trophy in their hands? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know what you think the Chiefs need to do, most importantly, to win. What you think the Eagles need to do, most importantly, to get the victory. And no, the refs do not count, okay? The refs are not a part of this discussion, okay? So let's break down the game plan for each team, beginning with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles' first thing that they have to do, first key to victory, is early down success on offense specifically. Early down success will lead them to a Super Bowl victory for a variety of reasons. But when the Eagles are able to be successful on first and second down, it is very likely that they are running the ball with Saquon Barkley, and they are being successful doing what they want to do, playing how they want to play, which is by running the ball. If they're able to run the ball for 4 to 6 yards a clip in this game, successfully, consistently, and they're not going for negative yards on first and second down, that's going to allow them to do a bunch of different things. First of all, they can bleed the time of possession. They can win the time of possession battle, which is so critical against the Chiefs. Because with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that team led the NFL this season in the regular season in plays and time per possession, per drive. Okay? So the Chiefs want to eat the clock. They want to go on long, deliberate drives. But with Philadelphia being early down success, even if it leads to third down, even if it leads to fourth down, running the ball, eating the clock, shortening the game, dominating the line of scrimmage, keeping Mahomes off the field, those are all things that will lead the Eagles to their most success. And the last reason they want to be successful on first down and second down is because they can stay away from Steve Spagnuolo. They can stay away from the X's and the O's, and they can rely on the Jimmies and the Joes. They can stay away from the crazy blitzes, the crazy coverages, the disguises, right? The double corner blitzes, right? The safety rotations. If they are successful on first down with a 5-yard run, it's much harder to blitz them. It's much harder to confuse Jalen Hurts. It's much harder to turn the ball over, to take a sack if you're successful on early downs, right? So that is the biggest thing for the Eagles, in my opinion. And no team has really been able to achieve defending the Eagles on early downs. So this should be one that makes or breaks their Super Bowl chances. Now, the second key to victory for the Eagles is defensively, they need to lock down Travis Kelce on critical downs especially. But locking down Kelce in a big game is first and foremost. When you're talking about how do you lose this game against the Chiefs, one of the top things that pops up on the list is we let Travis Kelce catch every third down. We let Travis Kelce get wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. We let Travis Kelce do whatever he pleases over the middle of the field. Well, if the Eagles want to win a Super Bowl, they must slow down Travis Kelce, okay? He can catch the ball in the flat for 4 yards on first down. That's not really a problem to me. But when it's 3rd and 7, when it's the fourth quarter, when it's a tie game, when it's the games within a field goal, can you stop Travis Kelce? in the red zone, can you stop Travis Kelce? Now, who is that guy going to be? Zach Bond's been an absolute assassin at linebacker this year, covering the middle of the field, doing whatever he wants. But he's not exactly a man-to-man cover guy. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, CJ Gardner-Johnson has been the guy that has kind of been a man-to-man matchup potentially for tight ends. Watch out for him. Cooper DeJean might even draw the assignment on occasion. I wouldn't be surprised by that. The young nickel corner actually does have the physical size and the stature to be able to do so. So that will be intriguing to watch. But who do they choose to put on Kelce? How often does Fangio look to bracket him, look to double him, look to take him out of the play? Okay. Do they chip him at the line before they rush the quarterback and then they have guys covering behind, right? How do they cover Kelce in big situations? That's absolutely critical. The third key to success for the Philadelphia Eagles is the pass rush and the pass rush plan. Okay, plan being the key critical word in this sentence. Okay, the Eagles have to rush Mahomes aggressively, but they can't allow themselves to lose contain, especially on 3rd and 4th down. How many times did the 49ers allow Patrick Mahomes to run in critical situations last Super Bowl? How many times did Mahomes escape the Buffalo Bills pass rush for a touchdown or for a big play against the Buffalo Bills? How many times did he run against the Eagles in their first Super Bowl matchup? Keeping Mahomes within that pocket and making him hold the ball and collapsing the pocket is just as important against this team. Because when you watch the Chiefs this year, their best successful offense is rather when Mahomes is able to get outside and he's able to create, or when he's getting the ball out immediately. Okay, what you want for Patrick Mahomes is for him to have to hold the ball so your pass rush can get home. That obviously is key in the secondary. You want him to hold the ball, right? Your secondary's got to hold up initially for your pass rush to get there. But it's important to understand that your pass rush can't over pursue. They can't lose their gap containment or their gap integrity. They have to rush with a proper plan. So Fangio coming up with that is just as critical as covering Travis Kelce. It really, truly is. Because those scrambles are backbreaking in the red zone. They're backbreaking on 3rd down. They're just annoying to watch, and they're annoying to play against. So that is huge in this game, okay? The fourth key to victory for the Philadelphia Eagles is short yardage. And this is specific to what we saw last week against the Bills and also what we know the Eagles to be as a team over the last 3 years, right? The Eagles have brought such a reputation to the NFL of being that dominant tush-pushing team, right? Like that team that just can't be stopped on a 4th and inches, can't be stopped on a 4th and 1. They are the best O-line, the best running game in the league. But in order to beat the Chiefs, they have to convert those scenarios to extend drives. They probably have to be aggressive on 4th down to extend these drives, even if it means they're at their own 42-yard line and it's the second quarter and the game is 7-7. Go for it if it's 4th and 2. Go for it if it's 4th and 1. Count on your most consistent asset. Count on your most consistent area of your team, your power running game. Then on the other side, can they slow down Kareem Hunt, the bowling ball, in those situations? Can they answer all of Andy Reid's different play action boot plays and Mahomes getting out of the pocket and running or throwing to his back or flip, all that sort of stuff, or the mesh concepts that Kansas City consistently was attacking Buffalo with? Will the Eagles have the answers on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, right? Those critical downs. And it's more important for their defense, I would say, that they're able to take care of this because we feel like their offense is just so consistent in this area. But this is absolutely a huge point of emphasis for them in any game because they're so good at it and it's such a big part of their identity. So if they can win this area of the game, it will go a long way in winning the Super Bowl. And the fifth and final key to success before we get to the chat is take advantage of your talent, okay? And take advantage of your talent can mean a lot of different things. But this game, in my opinion, is a battle between the X's and the O's and the Jimmies and the Joes, as I've said already. It's a battle between the more talented team, the more talented roster, I should say, in Philadelphia versus the wiser team, strategically more sound team, the situationally successful team, the clutch team. That's what the matchup is. So can the Eagles' talent overcome the scheme of Kansas City? That is the matchup at the core, in my opinion, of this game. And when we're talking about specific matchups, can the Eagles take advantage of the Chiefs' defense versus tight ends? The Chiefs' defense versus tight ends, worst in the NFL this year. They allowed the most receiving yards in the NFL. They allowed the second most receptions in the NFL to tight ends. Can Dallas Goedert step up and have a huge game like he did in a Super Bowl a couple years ago and really be awesome in that regard? Can their pass rush cause havoc for Mahomes in some certain situations against a guard playing tackle Joe Thuney or a backup guard in Frank Caliendo? Can Jalen Carter dominate? Can Josh Sweat or Nolan Smith come through with a key pressure or key sack? Can A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith win down the field and create an explosive passing play thanks to the Chiefs having to oversell and stop Saquon in the run game? Can Hurts make that throw? Can Hurts make the right decision at the right time to hit A.J. Brown on a fade against Trent McDuffie? And does A.J. Brown beat Trent McDuffie? That's the difference in a Super Bowl or not. The reason the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year, in my opinion, a big part of it was because they were able to win on the perimeter with their cornerbacks. They made it a one-on-one game. They said, Kyle Shanahan, you are not going to win with your scheme. We're going to play more man coverage than we've played all year. We're going to sell up to stop Christian McCaffrey. If your receivers can beat us and Brock Purdy can beat our blitz consistently, you will win this Super Bowl. But the difference between the Niners and the Eagles is the Eagles' offensive line and their outrageous level of talent. They just have very few deficiencies. So it will be harder in this game, in my opinion, actually, despite, Kyle being a great coach and the Niners being a great team, for the Chiefs to just win a certain one-on-one matchup, which might provide the Eagles the edge to winning this game. Okay. So that is the overview of the Eagles, what they should be doing, what they should be focusing on, their game plan, their keys to victory. And I would just say, in terms of the final point and exclamation point, it's especially early in the game, try to turn your tendencies, try to throw a curveball at times in this game. Because I think one of the worst parts about the Eagles is their predictability. But if they can be a little unpredictable in key parts of this game, that would also go a long way in throwing off Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo in their approach for game planning this game. So that's the Eagles for you on their side of things. Now we're going to transition to the Chiefs. Let's look at the chat. Chiefs coaching matters, says Ryan. Absolutely. Torres is a big Eagles guy. Rob says the refs gave you the one in 2023. Already we got refs talk. Rob says, in fact, they got you to the Super Bowl. They're going after the refs, man. Isaiah says Eagles are going to win this. It's very possible, if they can achieve what I just said, it's very possible that they get it done. I'm gonna look over to the chat as you guys are talking a little bit more. We're gonna get to Kansas City, all right? So the Kansas City Chiefs, first key to victory. I think anybody, from 5 years old that watches football to 85 years old could tell me what the first key to victory is for the Kansas City Chiefs. It is obviously stop Saquon. No, it's not pay the refs. It's stop Saquon. Okay, stop Saquon. And within stopping Saquon, you're not going to eliminate him from the game. You're not going to absolutely dominate the Eagles' run game. Good luck with that, especially considering the Chiefs have an average run defense. It's not great. It's not bad. It's not dominant. It's not awful. Okay. It's somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit above average, right? But in terms of, as you can see the stats, right? I guess they're in the top 10 in a lot of those stats. So they're good, but I would not say they're elite against the run. And the Eagles are one of the best, most explosive running games I've ever seen in my life. So they're not really going to stop Saquon. But what they can do, which will go a long way, is creating negative plays in the running game. And what I mean by that is on first down occasionally instead of Saquon getting 4, right? Now, there might be a risk where Saquon gets 40, but what if you send a corner off the edge and they run into that look and you create -3? Now it's 2nd and 13. Now it's a long distance situation. And now we're talking about what was the first key to success for the Eagles? Early down success. Now they're in a 2nd and 13 because Trent McDuffie came off the corner and he tackled Saquon in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? So if that goes to 2nd and 13, now there might be a tendency for Kellen Moore to throw on 2nd and 13. Now all of a sudden you get into an advantage Chiefs because now you've got all the different coverage stuff that Spagnuolo can bring out, all the different disguise blitzes, right? All the different sort of stuff. So negative runs and creating negative plays on first down specifically is a huge key to success because you're not going to stop Saquon Barkley. He's probably still going to have 25 carries in this game for 125 yards. But how many of those are positive and how many of those are negative, right? You don't want a lot of neutrals, if you know what I'm saying. TJ says, will the Chiefs be able to score enough points? That's a good question. We're going to get to that. Tim says, revenge from the holding call last time. We'll see. You know, Juju is in this game. So we'll see if Juju gets held again. If that was even a hold. I don't know, but you guys can decide for yourselves. The second point of emphasis, the second key to victory for the Chiefs is within stopping Saquon and creating negative plays. Whenever you get the Eagles in a 2nd and long or a 3rd down, can you confuse Jalen Hurts? And can you keep him in the pocket and force him to pass? You don't want Jalen Hurts to become the athlete Jalen Hurts. You want Jalen Hurts to be confused. You want Jalen Hurts to not be able to throw to his first read. And you want Jalen Hurts to hold on to the ball. That's what you want, okay? The Chiefs are likely not going to be able to rush the Eagles with 4 and have a ton of success. Occasionally, they might pull off a nice stunt or Chris Jones might win at the point of attack, and they might get a little bit of pressure. But this is the Eagles' offensive line, right? Even better than the Bills' offensive line. So it's going to be difficult for them to really get a ton of pressure on Hurts. Now, we've seen guys like Todd Bowles in the past be able to confuse Jalen Hurts with blitzes from the corners and the secondary level, especially when it comes to forcing him to roll to his left. So I think that will be a point of emphasis where Steve Spagnuolo is often blitzing him off the edge towards his weaker side of the field. So doing things like that, where it's forcing him to pass from awkward positions, be uncomfortable in the pocket, have to step up and use his pocket presence and awareness, having to also read the field as well. What you don't want this game to resort to is to the point where the Eagles are running the ball and it's getting to the point where the Eagles are running it so well that you have to play very predictable and simple coverages on the back end, like man-to-man, for example, and you're getting beat down the field, and it's easy for Hurts to read that coverage, and it's easy for him to make the throw. You want him constantly thinking and thrown off by your coverages. And now Hurts did play really well against the Chiefs in 2 Super Bowls ago, and really the only negative play he had was the one that was a fumble for a touchdown. That was a huge play. But besides that, I think many would argue that he probably outplayed Mahomes in that game. So if he could do that again, it's going to be difficult for the Chiefs to be able to win this game. But so can they confuse him? And the thing is, Hurts is not playing like he did 2 years ago. He's not playing as consistent. I think there's more of a book out on what you can do to him to make him struggle. So I think that's definitely going to come into this game for sure. It's going to be a huge factor. We just got rigged comments in the chat. Guys, I can't really do anything with rigged comments. If you want to contribute to the conversation in the comments, let me know, but I can't do anything with rigged, man. I'm not in charge of if the Chiefs get the calls or not. I'm just telling you if the Chiefs can win or not and how they're going to win or how they're going to lose. Okay, next up, we've got eliminate the Eagles' defensive line from the game. All right, so make it a stalemate at the line of scrimmage. Don't allow the Eagles to be able to rush Mahomes aggressively, pin their ears back, and get after. So how can you do that? And this is, I think, going to be the biggest area of advantage for the Chiefs in this entire game. In my opinion, it will be Andy Reid and Mahomes spending these next 2 weeks of figuring out 1,000 different concepts for how they can throw 5 yards. That is going to be the biggest advantage I think the Chiefs have in this game. Their ability to get the ball out fast, create early down success, avoid 3rd and long, be able to matriculate the ball down the field. I think there is enough tape from the Commanders. There's enough tape from the Rams. There's enough tape against the Eagles showing good quarterbacks being able to, dice up, because oftentimes the Eagles secondary, it is very good. Oftentimes their coverage is solid, but there are holes in the middle of the field, and there are also, I would say, they're very predictable. We know what Fangio is going to bring in his coverages. We know it because he's been a coordinator for so long. Now, it's very sound and it's very good, but it also can be very predictable. And when you have Andy Reid and you have Patrick Mahomes, we saw what they were able to do against Jonathan Gannon 2 years ago. A similar scheme, different coach, worse coach. I would say the Eagles have a better secondary now, maybe a slightly better pass rush than they did back then. But you want to be able to get the ball out fast. Right, this is something that Tom Brady would always do over the years. It's like, okay, we've got great edge rushers. We've got Aaron Donald or whatever who we're playing. We're just going to get the ball out in like 2 seconds every play. So Andy Reid's going to have screens. He's going to have jet sweeps. He's going to have quick RPOs. He's going to have quick, just little option routes for his slot receiver or Travis Kelce. And that's where Travis Kelce becomes a problem, because even if he's not beating you for big plays, he might be getting just enough yards to put them in good, manageable situations. And that's also where the run game comes into play. Can the Eagles eliminate that run game, or will Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco give them enough of a run game to maintain that balance, with the Eagles likely selling out to stop the pass more than anything else? So eliminate the D-line from the game with a quick and accurate passing game. Okay, next up, we've got, within that conversation, attack the middle of the field. Okay. Attacking the middle of the field is critical for the Chiefs, because one of the biggest advantages that they'll have is no Nakobe Dean for the Eagles. Nakobe Dean was just a lights out breakout linebacker for the Eagles this year. And beside him, Zach Bond. But since Nakobe Dean has gone down, they have Burks replace him, the former 49er who actually played a lot in the Super Bowl last year, because Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles running onto the field, unfortunately. So Burks had to replace him, and Burks was very susceptible, and they took huge advantage of that matchup once Greenlaw went down. Burks is not anywhere near what Nakobe Dean has been in the run or the pass game, and he will struggle in coverage against Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, or any player that enters his zone, okay? So that is a big area to take advantage of. Even if you would look at it from this perspective, the safeties are also the weaker area of the Eagles defense. So the middle of the field is the weaker area of the field, right? You want to avoid Quinyon Mitchell and Darius Slay on the perimeter, because you don't really have great matchups there, right? Cooper DeJean is the nickel corner. He's more in the middle of the field. He's really good, but he's also a corner, right? You can kind of he's a corner. So you want to attack the linebackers. You want to attack the safeties of this defense. You want to attack the middle of the field. So that is where I think the Chiefs can win this game, is if they're able to attack the middle of the field with aggression and they're able to get after it. And that's how they're moving the chains consistently. TJ says the Eagles have speed at all 3 levels. They're a good defense. There's no doubt about it, but I think where they're the weakest is probably the middle, especially since Nakobe went down. Okay, let's get to the final point of emphasis and final key to victory for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a fast start, okay? A fast start, just as the Eagles have to dominate short yardage and early downs, the Chiefs have to dominate the game early. Now, that might be easier for the Chiefs to do, because we've seen how they've started these playoff games. They've gone down the field and scored, and they've put their opponent on their heels immediately. Kansas City can do that against the Eagles, right? The Eagles are the team that has less schematic diversity, less versatility within their game plan. So it's more likely that the Chiefs come out with an incredible script. It's more likely that the Chiefs come out with some sort of game plan tweak that is going to surprise the Eagles than the inverse, right? So I could see the Chiefs coming out with just an awesome scripted offensive drive that gets them a touchdown. I could see their defense coming out and just as they did against the Bills, slowing down Josh Allen, slowing down Jalen Hurts and Saquon very early in the game, right? So for the Eagles, it's a matter of surviving that, where the Eagles have been a little bit weaker at starting games all year than their opponents, while for Kansas City, it's about getting that lead to a certain degree, like starting fast to a certain degree, because it puts the Eagles where they don't want to be. It makes them a little bit more pass focused. It makes them a little bit more Jalen Hurts and a little bit less Saquon Barkley. So if you can start in a good manner and get the lead early, that's going to put Steve Spagnuolo and his defense in a good position, and it's going to allow your offense to play with balance and rhythm and the way that you want to play, which is time of possession and death of a thousand paper cuts, right? That's how you want to play. For if it's the opposite, I think the Eagles eventually, there's only so many boots and only so many moving pocket plays and only so many screens you can run. If the Eagles are up by multiple touchdowns or if they're up by 10 points, then they get to run the ball, they get to kill the clock, they get to play their game, which it's next to impossible to beat them, right? So that's the final key to the game. All right. Yeah, I don't really have much to go to in the chat, guys, because we just got the same guys saying stuff about the refs. This guy says, can we stop making this game bigger than what it is? We know how it ends. We don't know how it ends, bro, but that's a good segue. That's a good segue for my predictions, all right? So ultimately, my prediction for this game is there are ways I could see the Eagles winning this game. There are ways. I think they're the more talented roster. And like I said, I think they definitely, if they have early down success, if they don't allow Kelce to go off, if they don't allow Mahomes to run on third down all the time, and they win short yardage and they win time of possession, they can win this game. But at the end of the day, I'm just sick. I'm just done. Like, I am not picking a team against the Chiefs because at the end of the day, I'm picking Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts is the biggest factor in the game. And Mahomes, I trust more in drop back pass. I trust that Andy Reid will come forth with a game plan after 2 weeks against his former organization and franchise where he's going to have enough schemed up completions and enough plays for Mahomes to execute. I trust that Travis Kelce will play well on this stage. I trust that Chris Jones will deflect a pass or get a sack or a key pressure at the right time. And I trust Steve Spagnuolo more than any defensive coordinator I've ever seen in this game with 2 weeks to prepare, even for a historic running back and a Hall of Fame running back in a historic running game. So I just trust the game plan. I trust the coaching for Kansas City more. I trust the quarterback for Kansas City more. The Eagles can win this game, but it's going to be very difficult because they have to overcome, I think, the schematical disadvantage that they have. Now, the Eagles do have Vic Fangio. That should help because he has studied Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and been in that division. So we'll see if that turns the tide for this game. But ultimately, I've got to go with the clutch team. I've got to go with the team that wins one-score games. This will be a one-score game, and I think the Chiefs will take it. They've also got the better kicker. Right, Harrison Butker matters too here. They've got the better special teams, field position, things like that. My MVP for the game is going to be Travis Kelce. Now, one of the reasons is because I don't want to be a simpleton and go with Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, I have good reason for this. If you look at the recent games that the Eagles defense has played, their defense largely has played well. But one area of weakness that they've had is the tight end position. Ertz had 16 targets, guys, in that game in the NFC Championship. 16. All right. He had 104 yards and 11 catches. Zach Ertz, another old tight end. Kelce could replicate that. In the week before, Higbee had 10 targets for the Rams, 7 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. So you put those things together with the Eagles maybe having a weakness without Nakobe Dean in the middle of the field, the safeties that you want to attack. Kelce should be heavily featured and involved in this game plan. And you also throw in the fact that in one of the games so far in the postseason, Kelce was the MVP. He was the MVP against the Texans. He had like 70% of Mahomes' yards in that game. He had 117 yards and a touchdown. He always plays well in the Super Bowl. He always plays well in the playoffs. He didn't play well against the Bills, but I definitely think that it's not going to happen 2 out of 3 times in a playoff run. So Travis Kelce, and for the conspiracy theorists out there, you've always got the Taylor Swift factor. So there's that as well. But yeah, that's my MVP. That's my pick. My score, I haven't really thought of, but I'm going to go, something's telling me like 27-24 or something like that for the Chiefs. Maybe even a little higher scoring, like 30-27, but somewhere in that range. I do think it's going to be a 3 or 4 point game either way. I think I'll be rooting for Saquon. I'll be rooting for the Eagles. You guys know I don't like the Chiefs, but I do think the Chiefs are going to win, and I do think they're going to take it. So yeah, that's it, man. This has been NFL Daily, guys. NFL Daily. Tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be back once again with another one. Don't forget to follow me here on the BR app and subscribe on YouTube, The Bottom Line View. Thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.